Deer Camp 1986. Last night, I, I don't have to work this weekend, so I knew I didn't have to work Saturday. So I haven't been working a lot of Saturdays, but anyway, Prime has some of their stuff on there, which is this is included on Prime, right? So anybody that has Prime, they got all these movies you watch. So this is a 2024 horror. It's 86 minutes. So I played the trailer. So I'm sitting there saying to myself, man, I don't know about this movie, man. It kind of looks kind of silly and kind of goofy. It is silly, it is goofy, but it's very entertaining. And they knew how to take the money and use it properly. This is how you make a good movie. This is on Prime. It's included on your Prime. So if you have Prime, I'm telling y'all, put this on your radar. It is funny, but at the same time, it's under horror. But six friends go to Michigan for deer hunting. And they go to northern Michigan in 1986, unaware that a terrifying force awaits, turning the hunters into prey. And that's exactly what happens. What they end up doing is one of the persons, I did not know this, end up killing this Indian waitress girl. And in the movie, it more or less sets up, this is the content his advisory is like nudity, violence, alcohol use, smoking, foul language, and sexual content. So uh, these guys were so good. They were funny, they were hilarious. So they killed a deer on the way to the place. So they was trying to find this cabin, and so it's five of them all together, and they stop at this bar, and then when they go to the bar, they get in fight with these kind of like backwooded dudes, you know. And you have to watch the movie. That I'm not gonna go into specifics. So they get in the bar fight, and then this one guy he just broke up with his girl, and then he ends up trying to hit on this cute Indian girl who's a waitress there, and she was telling everybody, okay, when you go out and hunt, Indians still they were more or less telling you guys got our land, but we still own the land because Indians, most of the people, indigenous people, their land was taken from them. She was telling this is still our land. You guys say it's yours, but technically it's still ours. And she was telling them to be careful. They said when you kill, well, she said like when you kill something, make it a proper kill. Don't just be going out and killing stuff. Of course, these guys they didn't care except for that heavyset guy in this movie was so funny. But everybody was good in this movie. But it's one of those movies where I sat down and I tell you, I have no problem falling asleep. You know, between just because I'm just busy. So anyway, I'm watching this movie. I'm like, man, I'm gonna fall asleep. But I never fell asleep because it kept me engaged. They took what money they had and used it properly through this movie. If you watch it, there was a bar scene. They didn't have to spend that much money on that. There was a fight scene. The fight scene was pretty okay. There was a part where the part that really got started is somebody killed that Indian chick, which was a waitress, who just got done telling them to respect the land and be careful. Uh, she goes out in the back to smoke a cigarette, and somebody tried to rape her, and they take a knife and stab her right through the back of her head, and she dies. But these guys, in the process, goes to this cabin because she gives them the directions to this cabin. So they go out to the cabin, man. They get all set up. They're smoking weed, partying, all that. But you know, uh, the sheriff, because the movie first opens up with the sheriff talking about these strange. Every time an indigenous woman gets, which is an Indian woman, they come up missing. Strange things happen to hunters that go out there, and the spirit goes and kills them in very horrific ways. Well, that happened to these hunters, and so I was still trying to figure. I was like, okay, but did they, so who's killing these Indian girls, right? And I guess somewhere in America, a lot of things aren't happening to Indian women, and it's just not being, I guess, taken serious or something like that. I don't know for sure, but that's how this was. And when they're driving to this area, it had two uh, Indian women on this billboard says, Where are these girls? What happened to our daughters and stuff like that?" So somebody killed that Indian girl. So they go out to this cabin, and then all this horrific this strange force with this crazy looking head, and when it walked, it had smoke you could tell it was a spirit. And while I was watching this movie last night, I actually said, "There's the money shot." They used the money shot for that part because everybody in this movie carried the movie. What I mean by carrying the movie, they kept you into the movie. They made it entertaining. They were outside hunting, and there was a part where they was trying to make this one guy. He was kind of nerdy. He's kind of nerdy. He didn't have no balls per se. They said, first kill you have to take and rip out the heart, and they showed parts where they ripped out the heart because this one Hispanic guy killed this doe, which is a deer. Deer is a doe. A male deer is a buck. So he rips out the heart, and this black guy looks at him like, "Damn, dude, like that." And he's like, "Yeah, I like that." So they're gutting the thing, and they're around partying and stuff, and then they're frying up this heart, and they made this guy with these glasses take the first bite, and he has a knack of throwing up. This movie, I'm telling you, you need to put this on your radar. I'm on 6 minutes, going on 7. So anyway, he bites into it, and he has a knack of throwing up. You have to watch the movie because he has a weak stomach. And he's the only one kind of the weak link of the bunch. And he spits it out, and it was maggots. So the other guy, the Hispanic guy's like, "Oh, you freaking whatever," he called him he's like a little punk or something like that. I think he called him something. I forgot what he called him. But anyway, he takes a bite. Then he spits it out, and it had maggots. And so all these little things start happening during the movie. Next day, the guy wakes up. One of the guys wakes up, and it's kind of cold, and he hears something. He looks outside. They start seeing these strange things. But here's the kicker. So they decided, they got up the guy got up, and he went to put fire in, because the temperature went down. You can see the temperature going down. So you knew stuff was happening real creepy. So he goes, one wakes up early, goes down, and he puts log in the fire, and this black arm comes out like it's been burnt real bad and grabs him. He backs up, and he's like, but he never tells his friends. But then when his friends all wake up, they notice that all their 2 deers that they killed are gone. So they're mad. They're thinking it's those guys they got into a fight with. So they go and start hunting those guys, and 2 of the guys like, "You're not gonna really kill those guys, are you?" He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill them, man." One guy said he served in the Marines and he was in Beirut, the Hispanic guy. So anyway, when they all go out there, they see this thing, and when this thing, now they were all, especially that heavyset guy, he was Mr. All gun ho. You can't tell me I got balls. I'll do this, I'll do that, and blah blah. He always has these wisecracks. Man, they had the scope on this thing, and when this thing got up, even that big guy went like, "Nope," like that, and they all took off and ran to the cabin. Well, then after that, all hell breaks loose. They tried, this thing was so creepy, it all freaked them out. So they said, he said, "Well, I got this thing on camera," because the guy had a video camera, and he was capturing people making, shooting their kills. So when they seen this thing rear up, he recorded. So when they got back to camp, he said, "Hey, man, I got it on tape." The big guy looks at it, he goes, "Oh, man, I ain't gonna let that thing scare me." He goes, "Well, what is it then?" He said, "I ain't never seen it like that." So it's just those guys they got in the fight with, they thought they had some kind of thing on. Here's the part where I said, all right. There was only one black guy in that group. And I remember he's like, well, everybody else looked, and that one guy's like, "I don't know, man, we ought to get out of here." So one guy wanted to leave, and then the Hispanic guy's like, "You ain't going nowhere, man. You're going to stay." And he act like he's going to threaten him. So the brother, which is the black guy, he decided to look at the replay. So he hits the replay, puts his eye down there. I'm sitting there on my couch watching this, right? Because I know my reaction. He looks down at that thing, and he raises up, backs up, he looks at everybody, he goes in the cabin, he grabs the stuff. He says, "I'm out of here." So I thought the Hispanic guy was going to threaten him, and he just looked at everybody and said, "I'm leaving." He tried to get his buddy to go with him, the one that had the crush on the Indian chick. He tried to talk to the Indian chick at the bar. And they said, "Man, you can't leave, man." He said, "I'm leaving." He's like, he was leaving. He had his bag. He had 2 bags, man. They don't have it. He just had I think he had a rifle in one. He had another bag. He just started walking. He just went. And then one guy chased him and said, "Man, you're going to get lost out there." He goes, "Man, I don't know what that thing is, but I'm not spending another night." I'm saying to myself, but it was daytime. So I was like, okay, that's what I would do. I was like, "Man, look, I'm going to take my chances. I'm not staying here no more. I don't know what that thing is, but if it's out here during the daytime, I'm just going to have to take my chances." I would have did that. And I was like, yes, because I know how I would have reacted. So he takes off. So I'm thinking, he's probably going to end up getting killed. They're going to find him hanging somewhere. But so he left. So the rest of them decided to stay out. And then this thing started picking them off one by one. And they used the money shot for like gore. And then there was a part where they all came to their senses and they decided to leave. Well, when they got in the truck started by himself. And they goes, who did it? I don't know. And then the truck got pulled back by some force. And then it got flipped and just blew up. And that's when they was like, oh, that's right. That's when this thing was on them. And it started picking them off one by one. So as the movie progressed, it starts picking them off one by one, the spirit. So the one guy got away. And when he got away, it caught up with him because there was two of them left. And that one, it got that one guy and killed it. But then when it killed that one person that was with the last two guys, that means there was one left, it flashed back. He was the one that killed that Indian chick. He was the one that killed that Indian chick. The whole time I'm watching this movie, he was the one that killed the Indian chick. They was blaming on those, I guess they was calling them rednecks at that bar. It was like 5 of them they got in a fight with. They were blaming on them, but it was him. It flashed back to him killing that Indian chick because he tried to rape her. They tried to cover it up somewhere. The movie just flashed back, and then it flashed back to him, and then he gets killed by the spirit. So there was only one guy left. So this guy tries to book it, and it catches up with him. And then it drags him back in the water, and it picks him up and holds him by his neck, and he's like struggling. And that spirit took off that funky-looking cattle head. It was good makeup, and it was that girl that got killed. And he looked down at her, and that spirit could tell that he cared for her because he wanted, he wanted to go out with her. He asked for her number and stuff. Her eyes were jet black, and then her eyes went back to normal. And then her eyes went black, and then she faded off, and then she just dropped him in the water. So then it shows him going off in the wilderness trying to get back to civilization. Then the sheriff that they talked to early, he runs out in front of the sheriff because he goes, hey. And he gets in, the sheriff's like, whoa. He gets in the car, and he's like, man, he goes, there's something out there. And then when he's talking to the sheriff, the black guy goes, hey, how you doing, man? He goes, what's the name? He's like, he said, man, you're like, goes, yeah, man. He said, I got lost, man. And he did get lost, but the sheriff ended up picking him up. So then at the end of the movie, the only two survivors, black guy and that one guy, and the guy that was trying to get a date with that Indian chick that they killed, one of his partners killed. And then he told the sheriff, he goes, the sheriff's like, so what do you think happened to your friends? And they were sitting there, and it's like, must have been a bear attack. And the sheriff looked at him and says, yep, it was a bear attack. So anyway, I know this is a little long, but this is surprisingly good. And if you watch this movie, I know I'm breaking it down. You watch this movie, you could tell they was on a tight budget, but they made the best of what they could do with this. This is how you make a movie. This is how you make a movie. You watch this movie, you're going to be shocked. Because you can be like, wow, they used the money right where they need it. But the 5 characters and everybody in the movie carried the movie by their character development. God bless. We'll catch you next video. We'll see you.